This is lesson number 4. This is lesson number 4 in 5 major lessons I've learned since being plant based and sugar free. I want to talk about stress today. I told you guys yesterday when we were covering lesson number 5 that I've been a health coach for a very long time, many, many years. And in that time, I've worked with hundreds of people, thousands of people, right? And in coaching is a very, very intimate career, meaning you get to know people very closely, you get to know people very well, you start hearing their stories. And when people trust you, they share with you. And as a coach, you want to have a trustworthy relationship with your clients because usually you can only really serve them at the highest level when they trust you enough to open up to you. And so, in my years of being a coach and building trust with clients and individuals and developing trust with people, I've heard a lot of stories, right? On people's journey to get whole, to get healthy, on people's journey to lose weight, on people's journey to get off of medication, on people's journey to keep things like cancer in remission, put things like type 2 diabetes in remission. On these journeys, right, it is very, very important that as their coach, I know the ins and outs and the everyday of people, what they're doing, what they're thinking, how they're moving, so I can help them make the proper adjustments to their lifestyle. And in these relationship building situations and in these circumstances, I've had the privilege of talking very intimately to many people about their situations in the attempt to help them, right, get healthy. And here's the 4th major lesson I've learned about life since being a plant based health coach, since being a plant based vegan myself. And that is this: what most people believe their problem is discipline and consistency. Like, overwhelmingly, when people show up for coaching, when they book sessions with me, when they enroll in one of our programs, they believe their biggest challenge to getting healthy is their lack of discipline and their lack of consistency. And what I've learned over the years is that the truth is they don't have a discipline problem. They don't have a consistency problem. They're battling avoidance. They have an avoidance problem. So let me explain. Now, people aren't lying. They're typically not intentionally lying. Let me say that, right? They really believe, like, I'm not sure what it is, but I really just lack consistency and discipline. And they really believe that. And our job as coaches is to hear what they believe their problem is and then ask questions and get to the root of what the real problem may be. Now, sometimes clients are right. Sometimes what they say their problem is really their problem. But I have found that more than 90% of the time, consistency and discipline is not the real problem. Okay. But people think, like, why do I start off good? I drink my water, I exercise, I do the things, I eat the plants for X amount of days or weeks, but then I inevitably fall off. That's what they are. And they're like, so I must have an issue with consistency. I must have an issue with discipline. But then when I get them in a private session and we get to talking, I get to learning about what they're really going through. I get to learn about like what they're really struggling with. I realize that their issue is not that at all. They're actually pretty disciplined and consistent people. Their issue is avoidance. When we are trying to get healthy, we make a major mistake of believing that health starts and ends in the kitchen and the gym. So a lot of people make the mistake of believing that in order to reach my physical health goals, my mental health goals, my emotional health goals, I have to micromanage what I eat. I have to micromanage how I move. And if I do that successfully, I should be able to reach my goals. Now, here's the odd thing. Most people know intellectually that health is way more than diet and exercise. However, in the application of this, people only focus on diet and exercise, which means they typically avoid the thing that is causing them emotional distress. It is the avoidance that is causing them to appear to be inconsistent and not disciplined. Does that make sense? It is the avoidance of the thing that's causing emotional distress, typically in a whole nother area of their life, that is causing them to appear to be inconsistent, and not disciplined in their health. That is the fourth major lesson I've learned about life and about humans since living this vegan lifestyle, since being a coach myself. Once I get them into a private session, right, they will come in and they'll be like, Lisa, I need help. I'm only disciplined when I'm in a program. I'm only consistent when I have a coach. I'm only consistent and I only show up a certain way when these conditions are true. And they're right. They do show up great in those conditions, but they believe that their biggest challenge is that they need me to help them figure out how to be more consistent and disciplined, when the truth is they're really avoiding that tough conversation they need to have with a loved one. They're really avoiding dealing with the grief that they're feeling from losing someone or losing a situation, losing a marriage, losing a job, losing a business, right? They haven't dealt with the heavy emotional stuff. And because of that, they're unable to be consistent and disciplined in their diet and in their exercise. Now, let me tell you why this matters, right? Some of you may have seen a conversation I had with my coach, ET, Dr. Eric Thomas. Recently, me and him sat down and we had a really cool conversation, and we delve into stress and we delve into addiction. Those are two really, really, really closely related topics. Closely related. Like, oftentimes when we're battling chronic stress in our lives, it inevitably can lead to what appears to be something like food addiction, right? Because the chronic stress causes us to emotionally eat. All right. So what happens is when people want to lose weight, when they want to get off of medications, when they want to get healthy, when they have some type of health goal, right? They start with the diet, they start with the exercise, they try and will their way through not eating sugar, right? They try and will their way through not drinking the caffeine. They try and will their way through avoiding the fried foods. But they get triggered by something in their day to day, whether it be on the job, in one of their relationships. They get triggered by something because they don't have a handle on their emotions, because they're avoiding making decisions, because they're avoiding difficult conversations. It becomes harder and harder to let go of the junk food. It becomes harder and harder to show up in the gym for yourself because you are so bogged down and overwhelmed by emotions attached to a circumstance in your life that you're not dealing with. People think they have a consistency and a discipline issue when the truth is they have an avoidance issue. When we stop avoiding the things that are causing us chronic stress and we show up and we start problem solving in every other area of our life, you will find that miraculously, you gotta be dramatic, miraculously, all of a sudden, you can manage to get to the gym way more effortlessly. You'll notice when you start having those difficult conversations and you create that exit strategy from the thing that's stressing you out, and you create that enter strategy into the thing you desire to experience, miraculously, you don't have to have the drive-through. You don't have to have the sugar every night before bed. You will find that, wow, when I start doing the hard things in my relationships, in my career, in my personal development, in my spirituality, when I start showing up with and being consistent in those areas, then all of a sudden I can be consistent over here. If I was to put a word to this that I believe would replace the consistency and discipline issue that people think they have, it's not just avoidance that they're dealing with. If I was to put another word on it, if I was to say, no, your issue isn't consistency and discipline, I think I would say your issue is integrity. Your issue is integrity, because what happens is people usually have misaligned values. I did an assignment with our clients this past weekend in Austin, Texas on our retreat, and I asked them to write down their top 3 values, the top 3 things that they value in life. And then once they did that, I just asked them a very simple question. Does your life look like what you value? Like, if you never told me what your values were, if you never wrote your values down on this sheet of paper, and I just looked at your life, like if I looked at your calendar, if I looked at the things that you do every single day, if I looked at where you spent your money, if I looked at how you spend your time, does your life look like what you say you value? If it doesn't, you have an integrity issue. You ain't got a consistency issue. You don't have a discipline issue. You have an integrity issue. Okay? Because we say we value these things, but our life don't look like what we value, right? So you say you value peace, but you're avoiding the difficult conversation that will bring you peace with your partner, that will bring you peace on the job, right? Our life don't look like what we value. And so until we align our life with what we say we value, inevitably things are going to be out of place, and it's going to cause distress. And that distress is going to cause us oftentimes to lean on substances, and food is a substance. Food is a substance, right? Late bloomer on Instagram said, "Ooh." Shout out to Cara on YouTube saying, "Wow, okay." Like, listen, I'm really don't need to be on here long to break this down because it sounds like y'all getting it already. Shout out to Dr. Travis Bracco on Facebook, bringing the heat. Yes, so it's so important that we recognize, guys, that you guys, here's what I want y'all to stop doing. Okay. When you come into a program, when you get a coach, all right, when we start this 30-day vegan SOS free challenge on Saturday, June 1st, when we start, here's what I want y'all to stop doing. Don't come into this challenge. We got 550 people registered for the challenge, like 552. Don't ask me or any of the other coaches about any type of superfood. Don't ask us about any fancy weight loss expediting strategy. Like, don't ask us about, can I just put salt in my water? What about just apple cider vinegar? Lisa, what's some fat burning foods? Like, don't ask me about any new and improved hot off the press strategy that you think we have, because the old stuff doesn't work. Let me tell you something. The old stuff still works. The thing that we're going to be escorting you through during this challenge in June is doing the old stuff that already works. Don't diet and exercise still works. The part that you haven't tried yet. See, you think we got some cheat code that you don't know about. Nope, we don't. We just drink water and eat plants and we exercise. So we have no cheat code. Okay. But here's the difference. Here's why we've been able to lose the weight, get off the medication, keep it off, is because we did the work in all the other areas to be personally developed. Like, we have the tough conversations. Like, we face problems head on. Like, we've done the work to position ourselves to do what we love in the world instead of making decisions that causes us to stay safe and miserable. Okay, that might have been a bar too. Kiwi type bars again. Okay, because I'm about to say that again. Okay, we've done the work to remove ourselves from the situations, right, that causes us distress, and positioned ourselves with our purpose and the things that brings us most joy in the world, right? Like, that's the work that we've done that maybe you ain't tapped into yet. Don't be thinking that we got some new, like there's a new food that came out that you don't know about. Like, we're not about to just tell you to sprinkle chia seeds on everything and everything gonna be all right. No. You need to go do the hard work of removing yourself from the undesirable circumstances. You need to go do the hard work of addressing your trauma that you still ain't healed from 20 years later. It's the avoidance that's keeping you sick. It's the avoidance that's keeping you overweight. It's the avoidance that's keeping you medicated. We don't have a cheat code. I know some coaches on here right now. Shout out to B.Fit. Like, we don't have a cheat code. We don't. We just do the work. And that's the thing that keeps us consistent. Like, you don't have a consistency issue. You don't have a discipline issue. You have an integrity issue, and you have an avoidance issue. It's that part. Okay. We have an Ultra VIP ticket. How much time I got? Oh, look at us. We're going to be well within our 20 minutes today, y'all. Okay. So we have a VIP ticket. We have 2 VIP tickets for the challenge, right? So you can join the challenge for free. Right? We have general admission tickets, so you can take the challenge for free. It doesn't have to cost you anything. But if you want to move up to the front row, we have a VIP and an Ultra VIP ticket for the challenge, right? And so with the Ultra VIP ticket, you guys get a private one-on-one coaching session with me. And so I'm going to share this short story from one of our Ultra VIP ticket holders who booked a session with me. So he booked a session with me, right? And we had our session last week. And when he booked the session, when you guys book your Ultra VIP coaching session with me, you tell me when you book in the session what you want to spend your time talking about and discussing. Like, what do you believe your challenge is with your health, so I can be prepared to help you, right? So when he booked the session, he put on the form, I have an issue with consistency and discipline, right? So he's like, I was doing good because this person is already plant based. They're coming into the challenge, but they're already plant based because they started leaning on more vegan junk food. So they're more of a junk food vegan right now, right? And so when he booked his VIP coaching session, he put on the form, I got an issue with consistency. Like I used to be doing good, but now I found myself falling back into the vegan junk food and the stuff that's not really good for me. And I'm craving it more and I'm starting to eat it more. So I need to get back on track. That's why I'm joining the challenge, Lise. I'm like, okay, bet, let's get it. So he also put on the form, he said, stress, dealing with some stress, and said one other thing. So when we got on the call, when we got into the session, I'm like, okay, why do you think you have consistency and discipline issues? And he told me, he's like, I'm busy, and I've stopped cooking. I used to cook a lot at home and I stopped cooking. And so since I stopped cooking, I've started eating out more. And since I've started eating out more, I'm not really particular. I was like, long as it's vegan, long as there's no animal products, I eat it. But I know I need to be cleaner on my plant-based lifestyle. I said, okay. I said, hey, you mentioned stress on the form too. Tell me about the stress. Tell me the thing about the stress. Like, let's spend a couple seconds on that. You got to act like it's no big deal. I knew for a fact we was going to spend an entire session on that, but you got to play it cool, right? So I'm like, just run that by me right quick, right? What's the stress thing you talking about? And he's like, oh, about a year and a half ago, my mother moved in with us. And I'm my mom's caregiver. And so since my mom moved in with us, I have been quite overwhelmed because I'm still working every day. I work from home and I work in the field. And of course, I have a partner, a spouse that I still have to show up for. And then I'm also, a parent. And I still have to show up for my children. But now I'm a caregiver too to my mom. And it's a lot because I'm an only child. So I don't have siblings or anything to lean on. And so I find myself not having my family isn't plant-based. So once I make them a meal, I don't really have the energy to make myself a meal. So I'll just go out and get something and it's usually junk. And so he's classifying this circumstance as a lack of consistency and discipline. And I said, well, let's spend some time about you being a caregiver to your mom. I'm like, why won't you get help? Like, is help an option? And he's like, yeah. And what we inevitably concluded from this conversation was that number one, he felt guilty about even thinking about getting a nurse aide or somebody to help out because he was an only child. He felt obligated to take care of mom 100% on his own. And then also, he also concluded that mom wouldn't be on board with having a health aide or somebody else. Now, he never had the conversation with her. He just concluded on his own that mom ain't going for that. And so that's not an option, right? And I said, oh, but you never asked. You never had the conversation with her. He said no. And so we had a brief conversation about having a conversation with mom about bringing somebody else in because mom is in her right mind. So she can be included in the decision making. I said, I find it funny how you're making a decision for somebody who, has like the wherewithal to be included in the decision making, right? And he's like, I never really thought of it like that. I'm like, yeah. And then also this guilt about getting help. I'm like, ooh, you got to detach from these constructs that society has placed on you, making you think you got to be the one to do all the work. That's just a societal construct that you're going to have to detach from. And so within 20 minutes, the session was 30 minutes. Within 20 minutes, we had the solution. You're avoiding a difficult conversation, right? And you're letting unfounded guilt make decisions for you, right? So by the end of the conversation, he had already decided who he was going to reach out to get the help he needed. He had already decided that, he was not going to avoid the conversation. He was going to have the conversation with mom about getting help. And he has since did that. Since that conversation, he has emailed me and was like, Lisa, you won't believe this. Since we had the conversation about getting help for my mom, I've been able to contact two people. Then somebody reached out to me about helping who had asked over a year ago. And now we have an appointment set up and mom is on board and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, that's miraculous. Because look, we never had a consistency or discipline issue. We had an overwhelm and a stress issue. And the most important thing is we were avoiding making a tough decision. The tough decision was, should I or shouldn't I get help to care for my mom? We're avoiding making a tough decision. It's avoidance. You ain't never had so they email me like, thank you so much. Oh my God, I can't wait for the challenge. I'm like, I can't wait for the challenge too, because now that we've moved that mountain, we can get to work. And so that's what I need you guys to understand, that Stop labeling yourself as inconsistent and not disciplined, especially if you have undesirable circumstances in your life that you are avoiding making decisions around or avoiding difficult conversations. That is number 4 in the 5 major life lessons I've learned since being a plant-based vegan, sugar-free, and being a coach in this lifestyle. Y'all ain't got consistency and discipline issues. Y'all got avoidance and integrity issues. So let's align our life with the things we say we value and watch how miraculously we're able to do better in the kitchen and in the gym. Fair? If that's a fair, somebody drop fair in the comments so I can get up out of here. Okay, we at 20 minutes and 17 seconds. Listen. We're starting Saturday. Saturday, we're kicking off this thing. The Plant Protocol 30-day vegan SOS free challenge is going up. I cannot wait. Like I said, we got over 550 people already signed up. We would love to have more. So I would love for you guys to share it. Get your bestie, get your accountability partner in here because we're going to have a good time together starting Saturday. Tomorrow, I'll be back here, same time, 10 a.m. EST with lesson number 3. Lesson number 3. Now, I hope y'all noticing the trend with these first 2 lessons, right? Well, I ain't said nothing about necessarily food yet. I haven't talked about exercise. I'm talking about major life lessons I learned from coaching people to their optimal health, right? And so these are things that you really want to take inventory of as you come into the challenge to make sure you're positioned for success. So who needs to have a difficult conversation between now and Saturday? Who needs to make some tough decisions between now and Saturday? Because what you're not about to do is be 2 weeks into the challenge telling me it don't work. No, you don't work. All right. Let's not get shady this early in the week, Lisa. All right. Carol said fair. Lorene said fair. B on Instagram said fair. Conscious Gear said fair. Love y'all. Thank y'all. Listen, I'll see y'all back here tomorrow at 10 a.m. EST for lesson number 3 that I've learned since being plant-based, vegan, and sugar-free. You guys do me a favor, share this with somebody who needs to hear it so they know that all their problems not in the kitchen and the gym, and we can start doing the hard work. Love y'all. Bye, y'all.